Welcome to Rod's Tabletop Hoops. Here we have a recap of the 1968-69 ABA tournament as played with Fast Break Pro Basketball by Mickey Games. These are games 14 through 22, which includes the finale between the Oakland Oaks and Indiana Pacers. There's the Rick Barry compatible card. Mickey Games was around from 1974 through 1987. There's your tournament bracket. Pacers at the top, winning 2-1 over the Pacers. MVP Mel Daniels had a fantastic series. Not to take anything away from Freddie Lewis, who also had 20 or more points in every playoff game. Game 14, the Jim EAKINS game. Big Jim had 14 points in the final period, finished with 27 in a game that the Oaks were down most of the game. Rick Barry finished with 34 points and 9 rebounds, and James Jones had 24 points in a game where the Oaks finally pulled away in the closing minutes. And there's Jumbo's card. Pattern play column. The P column, he draws a lot of fouls, hits about 54% from the field on average. Hit about 60% in these playoffs. James Jones was 10 for 14 in defeat. Big MEL'S game, game 15, Pacers 123-113. They out-rebounded the Pipers 62-47. Big Mel had 24 on his own. The Pacers won 3 out of the 4 quarters, as you can see, including a 37-point first quarter. Connie Hawkins did have 28 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists for the Pipers in defeat, but the balance of the Pacers won out. Game 16, Red Robbins rescues his Buccaneers. They were down by about 10 with 6 minutes to play. He brought them all the way back with some points and rebounds and an assist at the first buzzer. I found out that I moved the clock one too many times and replayed the final play of the regulation. In that play, Steve Jones stole the ball from Warren Armstrong to secure the BUCS win 126-124. Ron Franz was kicked out of this game with 2 technical fouls. Barry had a technical and 47 points in a losing cause, sending this series to Game 3. Game 17, Trooper came back, a home win for the Pipers to tie this series at 1-1, 25 points, 21 boards. Steve Asendak off the bench with 17 points. Pipers had a really good first quarter, and that just propelled them to victory. They led by about 20 at the half. And Mel Daniels did have 25 points in defeat. Game 18, this was just the opposite. The BUCS led for most of the game, and Coach Hannum threw Rick Barry into the guard slot to guard the red-hot James Jones. Jones ended up getting 2 of his shots blocked and eventually fouled out with 2 minutes to play. And the score was 130-128 BUCS at the time. The Oaks came back and kind of cruised to victory as the BUCS fell apart without their team-leading point guard, who scored 39 points. Barry added 35. Larry Brown added 10 assists. 140-134. NETO and FUEGO was the name of game 19. NETO was 11 for 16, and the Pacers just won this game going away. Minnesota hit just 39% from the floor. They just kept building up the lead. The Pipers made a comeback in the fourth. I pulled the starters a little bit early, and that's the only reason this game was closer than it actually was. Injury prevention, I think, is what I wanted to try to do after Barry had gotten hurt. Championship matchup, Oaks and Pacers. Oaks win game 1, 136-124, much closer than it looks like. The Pacers probably led for over 50% of this game. Barry finished with 30 points and 6 steals. Doug Moe, 25 points. Big Mel in defeat, 26 and 16, but this game was much closer. The Oaks needed an 82-point second half in order to secure this win. They had trouble stopping the Pacers on offense. A fantastic game 1. Oaks take a 1-0 lead in the series. Game 2 was all Pacers. Fred Lewis, 40 points, 15 of 23 from the floor. Importantly, Rick Barry got injured early in the fourth quarter and would miss the rest of the series. So that really took a beating on the Oaks, who were still down by 20 points at the time. This game was all Oaks. They scored 42 points in the first quarter and cruised to a 137-109 win. Without Rick Barry in the lineup, the Oaks were forced to start Gary Super Sub Brads, who threw in a good 38 points in the final game. Unfortunately, Mel Daniels was not going to have any of it. 29 points, 18 rebounds. Neto, 33 points on 15 for 20. And Roger Brown, 29 points and 6 assists. It was all Pacers from the first quarter on. They scored 43 in quarter one. Scored 143 to 120 for the Oaks. And even Freddie Lewis had 22 points. As always, scoring at least 20 points in each of the playoff games. Final Oakland Oaks statistics find these quite interesting. The Oaks did shoot the ball a little bit better than on the regular season, but they ended up getting outscored in the 8 games they played because the Pacers blew them out in the last 2. They averaged 123 versus 127 in the real life, but they gave up 125 points because the Pacers threw 143 and 137 on them in the final 2 games of the championship. Rick Barry ended up equaling his season average with 34 points per game. Warren Armstrong nearly equaled his averages with 21 points and 10 rebounds per game from the guard slot. Jim Akins hit 59.7 from the floor and averaged 13 a game. Pretty good shooting by the Oaks. They just had a little bit of trouble on the offensive rebounding, and sometimes they did not get to the line, especially in games with Rick Barry sideline. Indiana Pacers stats, they came in pretty close to actual, considering this is a limited 9-game sample. They average 119.4 in these 9 games. They average 119.6 points per game as a team in real life. They shot a little bit better, 46.3 from the floor versus 45.1 on the field goal percentage side. But defensive side, they gave up 42.9 in real life, 43.6 in the replay. Of course, they played a couple of the poorer shooting teams in the Pipers and the Colonels, low shooting percentage teams. Freddie Lewis took a few too many shots. I may have to tweak a couple cards. 24 points a game, though. Only 2.3 assists. I think I underrated his assist rating by 1. It's 1 to 6 instead of 1 to 5. I'll make an adjustment. Mel Daniels had 24 and 18 and had a fabulous playoffs. If they were doing well, the Pacers were winning the game most likely. Roger Brown didn't shoot very well, but still scored right close to his regular season average of about 21.5. And there are your champion Pacers, led by Mel Daniels in the upper left corner. And there's the setup. I had a great time putting together this 22-game series of games. Took a little bit out of me, but there's my tools of ignorance down there. I hope you enjoyed it. People like Matt and DC and Larry. I appreciate you guys, and Mike for showing up every game and making this a fun event. Have a good day, everyone.